Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and once again, I'm looking around and all by myself, but coming to you a little earlier in the week. Definitely wanted to get more Steelers content out to you over the off season. There hasn't been a whole lot of news, and then all of a sudden, it's like the earth is shaking and everything's quaking over the weekend. The Steelers hosting Melvin Ingram, and we see how that's already turned out. So, going to talk about that and kind of piggyback on the previous episode that I was talking about how the Steelers defense, they're not going to regress, and if anything, this signing definitely just kind of reinforces everything. So, without further ado, welcome back, everyone on YouTube. Nice to see you, and those of you also listening on the audio formats of the Steel City Underground podcast. This will probably be a little bit shorter of a show. There isn't as much meat to chew off of this bone, but there are some things that are already floating around that kind of just make me shake and scratch my head. The remaining hair, the hair you can't see. There's just a little bit of stubble. There's not a whole lot here. I'm a bald guy. That's why I wear the hat. I joke about the LL Cool J kind of shtick there where he's always wearing a hat. Nobody used to see him. It was like Kiss without makeup for the longest time. So that's the way it's going to be with me. You're not going to see my bald head. You're not going to see everything that drives me crazy. You just see more gray hairs on my chinny chin as I read some of these takes on the internet, including, you know what the first one was? It's like the Steelers defense, their starting defense is already, they're getting older. The guys that are over 30, and it's like, well, what pump the brakes on that. Who the heck even said that Melvin Ingram was coming in to be a starter? I'll tell you who. It's all the people that are looking outside in that don't pay close enough attention to the Steelers, the organization, and how it operates. They were saying this stuff when free agency began and Bud Dupree left. They were saying this during the draft. And yeah, the Steelers drafted someone in the 6th round, Quincy Roche out of Miami. I've said this on multiple episodes before. The front office hasn't been shy. The coaching staff has not been shy about saying that they need help in certain areas, particularly edge rushers. We were all expecting some type of move like this. Honestly, I thought I liked Justin Houston, okay? I thought Justin Houston was pretty much going to come in, would be able to come in and be the same player as Bud Dupree, but the only problem with that is the Steelers already have a starter. They already have Alex Highsmith. Everyone's just overlooking Alex Highsmith. And man, I've been banging my drum. I've been beating on the desk here and telling anyone who would hear it from me shouting from the mountain that Alex Highsmith, he may have taken over being the guy I'm most bullish for. If you remember when free agency began, I was all over Cam Sutton, right? And I said he is the highest priority free agent for the Steelers to re-sign. Why? Well, number one, I felt his versatility was great. Number two, I didn't think Steven Nelson was going to be released just at that time. Sutton had shown a pretty high floor, and I believe he has a high ceiling, maybe even a higher floor than Steven Nelson, who I don't dislike by any means, but even the cap space that the Steelers have from David DeCastro and all of that happening, it's kind of unfortunate that didn't happen a little sooner and they just held on to Nelson. And it's like, I think that bridge is burnt. Takes two to tango. Who knows if the Steelers want to even entertain bringing him back? They did with Vince Williams almost immediately, but maybe Nelson wants a different opportunity. Maybe there's writing on the wall. Who knows what was said behind closed doors? We don't know everyone's feelings. There's a lot of business aspect to this as well. So I won't hold my breath. But I still think they add someone else to this piece of the puzzle. But Sutton was my guy because of creating splash plays, because of versatility. And now Highsmith is the guy, like, I got to speak up for him. I think he's been overshadowed at least. You've heard the stats. I've mentioned them many, many times before. And that was, I put him up against Jadeveon Clowney. And I'm getting sick of saying Jadeveon Clowney, but that name's already been coming up because people are making comparisons. Oh, the Steelers signed a 32-year-old edge rusher in Melvin Ingram. But I don't think they're looking for Melvin Ingram to be a starter. It's because Alex Highsmith has been an excellent player with 5 starts, about 60 to 80 fewer snaps than Clowney. I have to always keep pulling out these different statistics. Do I have the snap counts? Let me see. Yes, I do. 426 for Clowney versus 343. This is 8 games, 3 of which Highsmith wasn't even a starter. Mind you, he started 5 games, and he put up better numbers. Fewer snaps as well. 426 to 343 for his snap counts. 33 tackles to 19. 3 tackles for loss to 4. 2 sacks and 5 quarterback hits to 0 sacks and 6 quarterback hits. And an old colleague of mine who's written for various Pittsburgh sports platforms over the years, Tiger Rowan, he jumps in here earlier today on my Twitter feed and responds with some other good info, some of which I forgot and some of which I didn't know. So I'm going to share with you what Tiger had to say here. And he agrees with me. Absolutely. Here are some stats. PFF, Pro Football Focus, the wizards that be, right? They rated Highsmith the second highest rookie edge player behind only Chase Young. Highsmith and Young were the starting edge players on PFF's all-rookie team. Take that for what you will. But here's a guy that didn't even play. Chase Young played the entire season, right? He was a starter. Great Washington front line, great future, very high draft pick, one of the best players, maybe best defender in all of college football before he entered the draft. And, of course, full disclosure, you know I'm an Ohio State guy if you've been listening here long enough. But Highsmith, almost in the same breath here, they both registered 10-run stuffs. And this is like a limited amount of time, a small period. We got to see Highsmith play a little over 400 some snaps. The Steelers defense had something like, 1028, and Highsmith plays 438 of them. He appears in every game, but the beginning of his season is like 10 snaps, which is like 15%. So we're talking like a lot of times defensive plays. You're looking at 60 some plays. 77, 47. Houston just did not do well week 3, especially that second half. 59, 57, 57, 82 against Baltimore. Of course, why not? And you wonder why everyone looked sluggish when they played the Cowboys, and then they went into the 70s in the play counts too. Cincinnati 65, Jacksonville 56, the other Baltimore game. So you get the idea, right? The Highsmith playing 10, 11, 8, 13, 8, 8, 25, 12, 19, 14, 11, until Bud Dupree goes down. Of course, he goes down this delayed Thanksgiving game that's played 50 years later. Half of everybody's missing, and then the guys who do play are sluggish and get banged up or get hurt or get lost for the season. So he does end up becoming the starter week 13 and for the last 5 games of the season. I'm bullish on Highsmith, and you saw what happened when Highsmith came out in that Cleveland Browns wildcard game. The remaining players I mentioned, Quincy Roche, 6th-round pick. It might be a value pick. We don't know because he was behind a couple of other great edge rushers who came from the same program in Miami, the University of Miami, Florida. And we don't know what Roche's got. And do you want to know as the first option off the bench potentially? Or do you want Cassius Marsh again? And we saw what happened with Cassius Marsh. Nothing against Cassius Marsh or Roche. I figure they're going to probably cut their teeth more training camp, special teams type players. Nobody's supplanting TJ Watt. Should be two-time defensive player of the year. I think he should have been the defensive MVP more than once. And the numbers certainly suggest that. He definitely was a finalist for that. You've also got along that front too, don't forget, Cam Hayward. I mentioned all these on the last show, but Stephon Tuitt with his 11 sacks or so. Second on the team only to TJ and his 15. And you're replacing Bud Dupree. And a lot of people thought Bud Dupree's production was maybe overinflated. I'm not sure. I'm going to finish what Tiger had to say here too about Highsmith. You put Highsmith in with there, and Tyson Alualu. Tyson Alualu eating a lot of double teams, been very effective against the run as well, and he returns. 34 years of age. I'll get to that in a second. Tiger continues. Highsmith's win rate was 24%. He didn't have enough plays to rank, but he would have been 7th overall in the entire league last year, and 1 spot ahead of Chase Young had he ranked. Summation. I agree with you here, Tiger. The Steelers have themselves an exceptional outside linebacker. How did they plan on using him? Exactly the way I said with Highsmith earlier. Doesn't matter, he's 32 years of age. It's going to keep him fresh. Going to keep his body fresh. He could be a spot starter if somebody gets dinged or banged up. More or less, this isn't John Madden football and you're playing a video game. You shut off injuries, you shut off substitutions. Somebody's got to go to the sideline, get a blow, get a breather, get some water. I mean, TJ Watt, let's look at this. 84%, 86, 83, 85, 89, 86, 96, 92, 77, 86, 94. So you get the idea there. TJ does come off the field, and they're trying he's going to play 80-some% of the game, sometimes in the high 90s, never really a full 100%, nor should that be. That wasn't what was expected of Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree used to get a little bit more of a breather. I want to say 85, 88, 87. He's about in the same kind of category there. Cincinnati and Jacksonville games, I got to throw out the baby with the bathwater there, because I think the Steelers were better preparing and trying to rest their guys after playing 82 plays on defense against Baltimore in Week 8 and 72 against the Cowboys in that game that, could have easily been a stinker, and they could have dropped that one and everyone would have been really ticked off. But they play 65 and 56 against Jacksonville, and they're trying to, with Jacksonville, rest their guys and get them ready against Baltimore. So it's always, you got to have somebody else there. Do you count on the 6th round guy? Or Cassius Marsh, the journeyman, the practice squad journeyman? Maybe, but I don't know that you want that as your third option off the bench. I think the Steelers brass was very forthcoming in saying that they wanted edge help because of those two situations. Who wouldn't? Why wouldn't you want to add someone like Melvin Ingram, a 3-time Pro Bowler, somebody who has been a very he was pretty much a reliable player for many years here. 2019, the last year he made the Pro Bowl, so he's 1 year removed from it. He missed 3 games with the Chargers. Last year he had 2 different spells on injured reserve. So he started the season over there with an injury. He went on to injured reserve. Let me pull this up. So he ends up playing weeks 1 and weeks 2, and he plays a fair amount of snaps, and then he was out for 3 weeks, comes back, plays 5 weeks, leaves again. A lot of people are like, okay, he didn't have any sacks last year. This is what we're holding the benchmark to since I've been roasting Clowney. We're talking about a $4 million contract for a spot starter, a swing guy that we hope plays maybe 15 to 20 snaps versus somebody that's a $10 million guy who's going to be the starter and maybe not even as productive. Ingram gets his hands on the football. He gets to the quarterback. Maybe not as much last year. Maybe the injuries were part of that, or were they? One of the things you got to look at here, Doug Farrar of Touchdown Wire, one of the USA Today blog sites, he tweets out that Melvin Ingram is an interesting case study in the value of sacks versus pressures. He had no sacks in 7 games in 2020, but he was still good for 28 pressures on 236 pass rushing snaps from multiple gaps, multiple techniques. He's a very smart player who could do more than just rush the passer. And this was a kind of one of the things that were going around when people were talking about Bud Dupree and talking about like maybe some of the quarterbacks the Steelers played against last year. You remember Drew Lock got hurt and they put in Jeff Driscoll and, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield. Throw him out there too. Why not? But yeah, the Steelers, Garrett Gilbert, against Cowboys, et cetera, et cetera. So you're trying to, you're thinking, could Ingram duplicate this? I don't want necessarily to know if he's going to duplicate it. I think Alex Highsmith is the guy that's going to duplicate all this. I already mentioned his win rate. I had mentioned his statistics, even versus his 8 games with only the 5 that he started in fewer snaps, having more production than Jadeveon Clowney. I think the floor is very high on Highsmith, and even to the fact of, I'm getting so bullish on this guy, I might have to put my money where my mouth is and buy an Alex Highsmith jersey. I'm feeling really good about this pick that the Steelers made last year, blossoming into another great edge rusher. And the insurance policy's there now with Ingram. If he doesn't pan out, he had a good short spell, a nice window. He flashed, but will he continue it in the sophomore season? You got to think he does. And even if he doesn't, or you get Ingram in there for 20-25% of the plays, fresh off the sideline for either Watt or Highsmith, along with Tuitt and Hayward, Alou, somebody is going to break free. And this is including Highsmith as well. I'm very excited about this. I'm very happy about the situation. It's just that I'm more disappointed in everyone that's been overlooking Alex Highsmith. Like I said, from free agency all the way through the draft, Steelers need another edge rusher. maybe for depth purposes, adding a veteran such as Ingram, and 32 years old, there's someone that tweeted this out. Let's see if I have this on hand as well. They were talking about Joe Hayden's 32, and let me see here. Joe Hayden, Tyson Lulu's 34, Joe Hayden's 32, Ingram's 32, Cam Hayward's 32, Vince Williams turns 32 in December. I give that look. Vince Williams turns 32 in December, so he's 31 for the whole football season practically. And this means what exactly when you have TJ Watt still playing? This is a fifth-year option now he's playing on, so it's still his rookie contract. Minkah Fitzpatrick, fourth year, playing on his rookie contract. Both are all pros and maybe considered the best at their positions in the NFL. Forget that they're young. Forget about Terrell Edmonds, fourth year on his rookie deal. Devin Bush, third-year rookie deal. Alex Highsmith entering his second. Here's the other five guys that are actually starting. Not Melvin Ingram's I don't even think he's going to be a starter. So you mentioned four guys that are, quote, old. Hayward's in his prime. 32 ain't nothing for a defensive lineman. I could see him playing at 36 or 37 if he feels up to it and his body is holding up. Vince Williams, linebackers, okay, he's starting to, he's not a spring chicken, but you can't throw him out of there. The only guy here that really, I see like a question mark with is maybe Joe Hayden. How's Joe Hayden going to hold up at 32? It's like the same debate as wide receivers. You get wide receivers, corners, but the whole Steelers offense, the other side, except for Big Ben, anybody over the age of 30? I think Chris Boswell is 30 now. He could kick until he's 50 if he wants to. That's the way kickers play. So everybody talking about Steelers, all of a sudden it's the old. I don't even know where you pull this out of. Somewhere deep into the reaches of your, you know what. The certain orifices that I won't mention. I'll try not to swear on the program here. You're pulling it out of your butt. You're spelunking. Very deep spelunking if you're looking to call the Steelers roster old at all. Aging. The wide receivers aren't old. The tight ends aren't old. The offensive line is morphing, but not old. Najee Harris is a rookie. Okay, Ben is old. He's as old as me. I could say that, right? That's why I call everyone else young men, because, again, I'm older than everyone. But you can see why I get the grays and why the hair falls out. I just don't know where people find these type of things or why they say it or why they say it publicly. It's like, I need to have a hot take. I need to have attention. Everyone look at me and retweet this. That's just such malarkey. Love that word, by the way, malarkey. It's got Heavens, the Murgatroyd, and Weisenheimer. Some things my mom used to say. I called the kid a Weisenheimer earlier. She looks at me like your dog would look at you if you were holding a pork chop. It's just unbelievable. But Melvin Ingram, 3-time Pro Bowler, a guy that's had double-digit sacks twice in his career with 10.5. It's been a while since he's gotten there, 7 in 2018, 7 in 2019, but quarterback hits, man. He had a 4-year tear where he did not miss a game whatsoever between 2015 and 2018. So as long as he's a healthy player, once again, maybe last year's an aberration. It's a 1-year prove-it deal to make sure that he is basically maybe the same player that he used to be. Maybe he proves that he is and he's off to somewhere else. But I think, you know what, once you're in with the Steelers like this, and if he has like a particular niche, I think he stays maybe for a couple of years, particularly if he's effective. It allows the Steelers to not have to draft at that position, and they could work on some other spots. I mentioned Joe Hayden's age, too. I'd be remiss if I didn't say, Cam Sutton I'm bullish on. But I got to see how Cam Sutton's going to be used. Outside corner guy would be a lot different. If Steven Nelson was still on this roster, yeah, man. I mean, you don't even think twice about this, but you're a little worried on the secondary here or there because you just don't know. But the Steelers could still add someone. Where the speculation is always the Twitter tease, Malik Hooker. How would he be used? Guy with some injury history too, but also, former first-round pick there. They just keep adding more pedigree and finding ways to get the most out of guys who may have been in a bad situation, like Joe Hayden with the Browns for all those years. Joe Hayden was still good. They were just looking to move on, so I can't say that he wasn't good with the Browns, except for when he was up against Brown. You know which one, the Antonio variety, but he had Joe Hayden's number constantly. Joe Hayden otherwise was a Pro Bowl corner for the most part, especially when healthy. But again, somebody that went on the trash heap for another team comes over. Tyson Alualu, much in that same vein. The Steelers have done it in the past at different positions as well. So I am not saying Hooker's a sure shot but it'd be kind of cool to see something like that. I think the Nelson Bridge, like I mentioned, is probably burned. It takes two to tango there. Adding Ingram 1 year, $4 million. Man, what an insurance policy that is for a guy who gets after the quarterback. Let's see, 2019, 25, 16, and 12 hits before the injury-plagued 2020, 7 games, and still gets to the quarterback 5 times. Some limited snaps in some of those games. Let's see. Yeah, well, for the most part, it looks like it was just more of a nagging injury. When he came back, he was eased in a little more, 68%, 74%. So I like it. I like it. It's not that I'm counting on Ingram to be the starter. If he ends up starting like 2 games for some reason, it won't be the end of the world, I think. Particularly he stays healthy. And you know what? He can also teach that young buck, Alex Highsmith, some of the tricks of the trade. I'm very bullish on Highsmith. Once again, not to belabor this, beat a dead horse, be a broken record. My 2%ers that are still out there, thank you. For the rest of you, the 98% who may still be listening in, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You're on YouTube. Usually checking out some of the comments. When I get myself or Brian get a chance to review some of those, some really good stuff that's always there. Anyone else listening on any of the audio platforms, thank you for your reviews. Thank you for your support. If you'd like to buy us a beverage, head over to steelcityunderground.com. We have a little beverage buying PayPal button over down the bottom of the page. We appreciate that as well. We've had a few of those come in, so thank you, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate your support. My name is Joe, and I'm going to put a bow on this show. Like I said, a little bit shorter, but I had the fire under my butt because, once again, the talking heads, I don't think they know what they're talking about. It's just like a little cursory thing, and it just peeves me. Not only that they overlook Alex Highsmith, but to talk of Melvin Ingram in the way they talk about him, but yet Jadeveon Clowney walking on water and Takk McKinley over in that situation. Come on. Browns fans, you're better than that. You're better than that. Come on now. Anyways, until next time, folks, I do encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.